Akim Olufemi Gbajabiamila. God bless you all.
The Independent National Electoral Commission offices in Abeokuta South Local Government Area of Ogun State was set ablaze by hoodlums.
House condemns continuous attacks on INEC offices and facilities.
There was a mistake. The budget office had mistakenly selected a wrong code.
And allegations of budget padding again in focus as Finance Minister appears before House Committee on Appropriations. Welcome to House Tickets, your window into the activities of the House of Representatives, Federal Republic of Nigeria. I am Dehelia Mamza, your regular anchor on the program. As the House wraps up activity around the consideration of the 2023 budget, the House Committee on Appropriations has invited the Minister of Finance alongside heads of ministries, departments and agencies to explain the allegations of insertions, also known as budget padding, in the 2023 budget. In another development, the House Committee on Ecological Funds also issued summons to MDAs who have refused to appear before the committee as it carries out investigative hearing on accruals to the fund. Reports on this, as well as a summary of what transpired during plenary in the last 1 week, make up this episode of House Ticket. Do stay tuned for details coming up shortly. Keep watching.
The entire purpose of the legislative agenda is to direct our legislative resources and efforts in a coordinated effort to ensure the well-being of the individual in a life of safety and freedom. That is a high ambition, but it's well worth the effort. We have passed landmark legislation to fix our oil and gas industry, reform the police, and reorganize the corporate administration system in our country. We have considered and passed meaningful legislation that impacts all areas of our national life.
Welcome back. As we start off the program fully, we begin with details of events during plenary in the last 1 week, bills that scaled first, second and third reading, as well as a motion on the attacks on INEC offices top our stories. Stay tuned for the report as compiled and presented from our studio.
The House extensively deliberated on the need to condemn attacks on offices and facilities of the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC. The matter came up via a motion moved by Representative Olanrewaju Ibrahim and supported by lawmakers.
Aware that on 10th November 2022, the Independent National Electoral Commission offices in Abeokuta South Local Government Area of Ogun State was set ablaze by hoodlums with no less than 65,000 uncollected PVC raised down by fire. Also aware that in 2019, a single PVC was estimated to cost about 170,000 naira, which may cost more for the commission to produce. Alongside the main building, movable assets, and facilities such as 904 ballot boxes, 29 voting cubicles, 30 megaphone, 57 election bags, 8 electric power generators, and 65,699 uncollected permanent voters cards, which were reportedly destroyed by unidentified persons at Abeokuta South Local Government Office. Worried that on the same day, Assanis and talks set ablaze the Independent National Electoral Commission INEC building at Okeresi at the South Local Government of Osun State. Also worried that if this systematically orchestrated attack on personnel and facilities of Independent National Electoral Commission are not checked, the actions are capable of disrupting the 2023 general elections.
The cost of producing one single PVC is 550 naira, and it is 170,000 naira on the motion. So I want this to be corrected first.
I will advise against setting up of an ad hoc. We have a committee, and looking at the life of this assembly itself, it will get bogged down with bureaucracy of setting up, taking up communication. There's already a committee on the ground.
The House, in its resolutions, resolved to condemn all forms of attack on the facilities and buildings of the federal government in the country, particularly attacks on the facilities and infrastructure of the Independent National Electoral Commission. Urge politicians and stakeholders to admonish their supporters to refrain from attacks and violence before or during the 2023 elections. Also urge the Nigerian Police Force, Nigerian Security and Civil Defense Corps, and other security agencies, such as the Department of State Services, to synergize with the Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice to identify, investigate, arrest, and prosecute the perpetrators behind the attacks, and set up an ad hoc committee to investigate the remote and immediate cause of the incessant inferno on INEC offices in different parts of the country, and report back within 3 weeks for further legislative action. The motion was voted on and adopted as amended.
Mr. Speaker, my reverend
Moving on to bills, several were presented for first reading, among which are Federal Polytechnics Act Amendment Bill 2022, sponsored by Representative Aminu Suleiman, Builders Registration Act Repeal and Enactment Bill, sponsored by Representative Mark Bila, and the National Directorate of Employment Act Amendment Bill 2022, sponsored by Representative Ganiu Abiodun Johnson. Several bills seeking the establishment of various institutions were also considered last week. They included a bill for an act to establish the Federal College of Medical Laboratory Sciences, Soba, Kaduna State, and for related matters, sponsored by Representative Ibrahim Hamza. A bill for an act to establish the Federal College of Petroleum Technology, Alkaleri, Bauchi State, and for related matters, sponsored by Representative Musa Muhammad. A bill for an act to establish the Federal College of Health Technology, Yala, Cross River State, and for related matters, sponsored by Representative Jude Ogbeche Ngaji. Some bills also scaled third reading, among which included a bill for an act to establish the Federal University of Forensic Science, Erinle, Kwara State, and to make comprehensive provisions for its due management and administration and for related matters. A bill for an act to provide for the establishment of Federal College of Nursing and Midwifery, O2 Jeremy, and for related matters. A bill for an act to provide legal framework to establish the Federal Medical Center, OVO, in Delta State, and for related matters.
Those in support, please say aye. Those against, please say nay. Ayes have it. Honorable colleagues, please.
The program is House Ticket, and thanks for staying tuned. One major step in the consideration of the appropriation bill before its passage is the resolution of issues that came up during the budget defense by committees of the House with the MDAs they supervise. It is along these lines that the Appropriation Committee sought to resolve issues and allegations of insertions into the 2023 budget, otherwise known as budget padding. While addressing the committee, the Minister of Finance, Budget and National Planning, Zainab Ahmed, clarified the alleged budget insertion in the budget of the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development, noting that the error was as a result of an item that was wrongly coded by the Budget Office and not a case of budget padding as alleged.
But there was a mistake. In providing for this provision, the Budget Office had mistakenly selected a wrong code which described the amount as security equipment. But the amount itself is correct and is consistent with what has been in the provision even from the level of the MTEL.
She added that the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs should have called the attention of the Budget Office in the same way other ministries have done.
Minister of Water Resources called me after receiving their copy and said there's a project here for water that actually is a state project, is not under the federal ministry. I said, okay, we'll correct it. We corrected it before going to PEC. After PEC, during PEC, some other ministers made some observations that we corrected before it was conveyed to the National Assembly. So our feeling is that our colleague in the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs could have simply asked, what is this security equipment of 206 billion that is in our budget? We would have shown her the documents, and we ourselves would have seen that there was this mistake.
Also speaking on the issues of the Ministry of Defense, the minister had this to say.
I spoke to my colleague, the Minister of Defense, and he had apologized that he lost sight of this. Because the Minister of Defense made a request to the President, and the President approved this expenditure with a directive that would provide some of the initial funds for them to start in 2022 and provide the rest of it in 2023. And we made that provision. With the provision we made for the Ministry of Defense is 2.25 billion for enhancing the safety of federal government-owned institutions.
The minister also cleared the allegation of that of the Ministry of Power.
So for the Ministry of Power, the amount was 195.46 billion naira, and this is provided for Zungeru Hydroelectric Power Project funded by Export-Import Bank of China in the amount of 175.75 million, equivalent to 76.55 billion naira. There's also the Power Sector Recovery Operations Program funded by the World Bank in the sum of 162 million naira, equivalent to 70.56 million. Then there's the Nigeria Electrification Project, which is to be executed by the Rural Electrification Agency, also funded by the World Bank in partnership with the African Development Bank, in the amount of $55 million, equivalent to 23.95 billion naira. This is the makeup of the 195.
Representing the Minister of Humanitarian Affairs and Social Development was the Permanent Secretary of the Ministry, Dr. Nat'l. The committee expressed its displeasure, frowned at the continuous failure of the Minister of Humanitarian Affairs and Social Development, Hajia Sadia Umar Farouk, to appear before various committees of the House to defend the ministry's budget.
So, Permanent Secretary, please tell your minister, it's not about even the Appropriation Committee inviting her. She has issues with her committees in the House. Most time they invited her, she doesn't come with it to appear before the committee.
Never appeared.
So it's wrong. If she's not ready for the job, let her quit. The chairmen are complaining. In our report now, they could not submit reports of humanitarian ministry up till now.
Some lawmakers expressed concern over the ministries that had these issues and allegations.
When you start talking badly about or raising unnecessary controversies about the national budget, you are affecting the national economy internally also. So, Chairman, the conclusion is that it is good that the Nigerian people have heard. And the various agencies should also know that it is very important that there is a better synergy.
Meanwhile, the Director General of the Budget Office, Mr. Ben Akabweze, was also present at the hearing. Our next report is also from the committee rooms, where you will get updates on the investigative hearing being carried out by the House Committee on Ecological Funds. Keep watching.
And other distinguished honorable members here present.
The House Committee on Ecological Funds, at its resumed investigative hearing on the need to investigate the total consolidated accruals and utilization of ecological funds, says it will involve the relevant anti-graft agency in order to recover the ecological funds in the country. The chairman of the committee, Representative Ibrahim Isiaka, stated this at the resumed hearing on Tuesday, 29th November 2022.
For those who have not shown up, by your mandate and by the resolution taken by the committee, that the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, the EFCC, will be part of us on the next adjourned date. We are just placing them on notice ahead that we'll be writing to them formally. And this is pending when we are going to submit our report to on the floor of the House for further legislative action.
Appearing before the committee were two agencies. These include the Director General of the National Agency of the Great Green Wall, NAGGW, Yusuf Mena Bukar, and the Director of Finance, Federal Capital Territory Authority, Musa Danyarima. After their submissions, the chairman of the committee pointed out key areas in National Agency of the Great Green Wall submission, after which he gave room for members of the committee to ask questions.
I would like you, for the benefit of those of us who are here, and also our constituents, the electorates, Nigerians who are at home, to please break it down for us, the mandate of your agency. And then you educate us on how far you have gone. Your agency is supposed to take responsibility for close to about 11 or so states that are affected by drought, and is part of AU resolution.
Restoration of the environment, that is part of it, and not only that, empowering communities that are living within the environment. Because as the chairman gave example on health and safety, for the need to remain conscious about our ethics, etiquettes, and activities, that you might throw a butt of cigarette that might light a forest, and then exterminating the lives of biodiversities there, or forcing them into people's houses. And there are lots of disadvantages that has to do with extermination of our natural biodiversity. So that is what we've been doing. In terms of the statistics, I can comfortably say we've achieved about 6,000 hectares. We've planted about 27 to 37 million seedlings. We intend to produce more, and not only seedlings that are tender, seedlings that are mature enough to stand the test to be able to reach the next rainy season, and then to employ also different strategies or methods that we can do to conserve water to sustain our plants. Thank you very much.
Members, can we excuse him? Not discharging or acquitting, no. Can we excuse him? Them? Thank you. Okay, so you are hereby excused.
The committee chairman also highlighted issues in the submissions made by the Director of Accounts of the Federal Capital Territory Authority, FCTA.
We want you to do a proper reconciliation.
Yes, sir.
Whether there is a shortfall, whether you are overpaid or underpaid. With the record available before us on what's supposed to be the consolidated share for the 3 tiers of government: federal, state, and local. So if you discover any variance we want to talk about, we want to discuss that with you for your reimbursement. And if you are overpaid, we will deduct that and transfer it back into the Ecological Fund.
Speaking on the actual figures allocated to the authority, the director had this to say.
The Ecological Fund is embedded in it, which Accountant General have never disclosed to us. It was when we received this letter, we now went for an investigation to ascertain the actual figure allocated, because it's not in the statement. So they now explained to us that FCT draw 1% of the federal government allocation, and hence FCT draw 1% of the FCT allocation. They are not entitled to ecological. The ecological released to us was only meant for the area council, which from March 2021 they started indicating the figure for the ecological.
The committee also summoned the MDAs that have refused to appear before it to give accounts for the final time.
We've written to Works, we've written to Health, FEMA, and Niger Delta. So we still have up to Thursday to hear from them, after which the committee will take the next step.
Still from the committee room was a one-day public hearing organized by the House Committee on Science and Technology on 2 establishment bills, namely, a bill for an act to establish the National Research Institute for Chemical Technology, Zaria, Kaduna State, to provide globally competitive and environmentally friendly innovative research and development in the processing and conversion of indigenous raw materials into valuable chemical and petrochemical products for the development of chemical, biological, and man-made fiber technology for industrial application in Nigeria and for related matters, sponsored by Representative Yusuf Gagdi, and a bill for an act to establish the Chartered Institute of Digital Technology and Development of Nigeria and for related matters, sponsored by Representative Solomon Mareng.
Heads of parastatals, traditional rulers, board members.
In her opening remarks, Chairman of the committee, Representative Benila, said the purpose of the public hearing is to give stakeholders the opportunity to make their inputs on the 2 bills which were presented during plenary on Wednesday 12th and Tuesday 26th of October 2022. While commending the sponsors of the bill, Representative Benila also pointed out the important benefits of the bill.
Annually, it is noteworthy to categorically state that Nigeria spends billions of dollars on the importation of chemicals that can easily be produced locally. When this bill is subsequently passed into legislation, it will bring an end to or drastically reduce the importation of chemicals and petrochemical products into Nigeria. This bill is aimed at developing the practice of digital technology and development in Nigeria, popularize and regulate principles and practices of digital technology, enhance digital technology, improve the skills of the managers in the public and private organizations involved in digital technology through training, lectures, workshops, among others.
Representing Speaker Femi Gbajabiamila at the hearing was the Deputy Leader of the House, Representative Peter Akpatason. He also commended the sponsors of the bills while speaking on their objectives.
This interaction is aimed at dotting the I's and crossing the T's, thereby ensuring broad-based legislation. This bill is aimed at developing the practice of digital technology and development in Nigeria, popularize and regulate principles and practice of digital technology, enhance digital technology skills of managers in the public and private organizations through training, lectures and workshops, amongst others.
Imports on chemicals and chemicals.
The Minister of Science, Technology and Innovation, Ogbonnaya Onu, was represented at the hearing by the Director, Chemical Technology and Senior Technical Assistant to the Minister, M.E.J. Basi. He stated the ministry's position on the bills.
The minister, again, is glad to have this opportunity to request most humbly that this bill be looked into, be considered, be reviewed as appropriately and passed, as it will also help him, as the Honorable Minister, put his signature as some of the milestones President Muhammadu Buhari has also invoked during this tenure of our government.
Professor Jeffrey Berminas, who is the Director General, National Research Institute for Chemical Technology, Zaria, during his presentation at the public hearing, highlighted the importance of the chemical technology industry. He also spoke of the benefits of the bill.
Chemical technology is crucial to the socio-economic development of this nation. The reason is that chemical technology is the bedrock of any chemical industry in any nation. Sir, the committee, I want you to know that the chemical technology and the chemical industry is responsible for production for over 6,000 chemicals in the world. And these 6,000 chemicals are used in different industries. This will show to you the importance of chemical technology and the growth of the chemical industry, as well as the economic growth of the nation. Without these chemicals, it will be difficult to produce anything. Go to any manufacturing sector, you see these 6,000 chemicals that are produced world over.
Several key and critical stakeholders, traditional rulers, scientists, heads of parastatals, as well as board members gave their positions on the two bills, both for and against. Representative Solomon Maren, who sponsored one of the bills, assured stakeholders that the committee will do justice to the issues raised and all their positions will be given due consideration.
Every submission that has been made will be treated very in the right manner, and the needful will be done so that these bills will come out very clean if need be.
And it is on that note that we end this episode. Keep watching House Cttee for updates and details of your lawmakers' activities and events. Until I come your way again, please stay safe.